Hi guys, welcome to the Skillshare class. In this class, we're going to talk WordPress and doing your own WordPress website. We're going to talk why WordPress is probably the choice for you. It's the one that I've been using for over 10 years and I cannot switch. I've tried. We're going to talk some design tips and tricks, some branding, but we're also going to talk some really important pieces of the website puzzle that are hardly ever talked about, but they are essential to having a website that is really effective in getting you more sales or donations or whatever the goal of your website is. So I hope you'll join us because this is really important to talk about. So first, I want to just give a little bit of the basics of WordPress because there's a lot of different website platforms out there. There's a lot of choices. There's constantly ads on YouTube and everywhere else for picking a different type of platform. And they can all be great, of course, but I've been using WordPress for about 10 years now, a little over 10 years now, because it offers a really simple, customizable way to have a tiny website or a lot of really complicated websites. And that's what I love about it. It's really easy to just change things up. There's plugins, there's themes, there's all that stuff, and we're going to talk about that. But I want to give you a little analogy. WordPress.org is what we're talking about, and that's a little bit different than the others that you're seeing online because it's not really like all-inclusive. So you can kind of think about it versus like an apartment with everything included, all utilities and all that, and a tiny house. If you've heard of tiny houses, I'm sure you have. They're really popular, but that's what we're going to talk about. So essentially, WordPress.org, self-hosted WordPress, is kind of like a tiny house. A lot of my friends in my area that have tiny houses, what they did was they worked with a builder to get a frame, like the trailer frame. If you can see, a lot of these are essentially built on really nice trailers. And then what they had, it was a builder in our area. It can be anywhere from a regular contractor that does big houses to even the Amish will build you like a little log cabin on a trailer. But often to save money and make it their own, because it's really important when you're living in like 200 square feet, is to make it custom. They just get sort of the walls and the roof and all the shingles and everything done, the siding, and then inside the electrical and the plumbing is typically done. But it's less expensive that way, and it's better to customize because you're just getting sort of a shell of a tiny house. It's all done really nicely. You didn't have to spend thousands of hours on it. And then you can go customize it yourself. Go get your kitchen stuff at IKEA or hardware store, whatever. You can do really expensive countertops or you can do really budget countertops. You can even get stuff for free on Craigslist or whatever. But that's kind of the same thing. But the thing with tiny houses is where are you going to put it? Where are you going to park it? You got to rent land or, campground, something like that, your family's land. Similar with WordPress. So WordPress.org is sort of the shell of your tiny house, if you will. And then your hosting is sort of your rented land. And then we're going to get into more of the design tips and tricks, CSS, branding, themes, which is sort of whatever you're buying at IKEA or the hardware store to put in your tiny house to actually make it like a house. So my favorite host that I use is HostGator, and I'm going to put more links in the class notes and even some coupon codes to help you sort of get that stuff. I'm also going to show you some of my favorite sort of hardware stores for websites, my favorite online IKEAs, if you will, and all that stuff. But I wanted to sort of give that analogy to hopefully make sense of it all. Because there's WordPress.com, which is not self-hosted, it's all-inclusive. You have to buy a plan with them, but it's less customizable. There's stuff like Squarespace and Wix and Weebly, and there's tons of them. Those can all be great, but they tend to be more expensive, they're less customizable. And, for me, hosting, I can spend like less than $50 a year to host all of my business websites, which is a pretty good deal. So anyway, that's that. We're going to get into the next video, which is the most important tip that I wish someone had told me 10 years ago. Video 2, the most important part. I really wish someone had told me this years ago. It's important. I have a lot of clients that come to me. They've been in business 6, 10, 12 months, and they haven't really made any profit. But a lot of them have spent thousands of dollars on getting a custom website designed from a really well-known designer or whatever. The problem is often their websites, when their clients, their ideal clients, their lifers, their dream clients, whatever you want to call it, when they come to their website, there's a lot there. There's like buttons and flashy things, and they don't know where to click. They don't know exactly how you can help them. They don't know if you're the right fit for them, and so they click away. It's too much. You know, it's like going to a restaurant with a menu that's like a mile long, and you just end up ordering a cheeseburger because it's overwhelming. It's all in a different language. It's like just too much. You want to make it really simple and concise and clear. This is definitely part of your project, I would suggest, to kind of almost journal about this, to brainstorm on this. Who are you serving? What's your business? What's your nonprofit? What's the goal of your website? What do you offer? Who needs that? Who is your tribe, your ideal client? And when they come to your website, make sure it's really, really clear. This is how I help you. This is who I help. I help YouTubers be more confident in front of the camera. I help mountain bikers pick the right mountain bike for them by reviewing lots of bikes on YouTube and my blog. You know, you keep it really simple. So I'll go over a few examples, but that's really important. I suggest a lot of times to my clients, and this is how I've been redoing my websites. Again, I've been redoing all of them this summer, and that's why I've tested out all those other kinds of website platforms, and I'm still with WordPress. So I like to have one goal on my website, like a really clear goal, to 3 goals, 1 to 3 goals. Sign up for my email list or go buy this product. That's pretty simple. That kind of thing, that 1 to 3 rule is really helpful. It doesn't mean that you can't have other stuff on your website or whatever, but you know, if your people tend to come to your website from your YouTube channel, you can keep that in mind where they've already seen you on YouTube. So what do they need next? What's the next step for them? You almost want it to be a roadmap. You start here and then you go to this point and then you go to point B and then you go to point C. And that helps to simplify and clarify. So when someone comes to your website, it's not like all kinds of pop-ups and things. It's, hey, I can help you. Click here. I can help you. Download this. I can help you. Buy this. I can help you. Read this article. So important. So let me stop yapping and show you a few examples. Let's go to this website first. This is the founder of Studio Press, and he is one of my just like favorite designers, one of my favorite WordPress sort of gurus. When you come to his new website, Authentic, which is about branding and design, this is what you get. It's called like a welcome gate. There's different plugins. Ask me in the comments if you want some help with this because I've used them before. Sign up. Simple. Then you can enter site. And this is a great example. You've got some good branding here with his little A in the background. Really simple, good photography, really important. We're going to talk about that. A couple different fonts and a couple different things to click. And then you keep reading about, and this is, you know, his story. It's who he is, how he can sort of set himself apart from other people that talk about WordPress, which is like a zillion people. You know, he links to a few of his other income streams, which is certainly going to get him the income he needs. I always talk about you want to first care about your impact you're making on the people that you're serving in your business. And then you need to care about income. I mean, even if you're a nonprofit, you need donations, right? So you got to have those 2 things or you're really not going to be able to have a business really. So, you know, he's giving you his story. He's telling you how he can help you. And then he's also pointing you to either his email where, you know, you can get more help, and he can point you to Studio Press and his other sort of income streams. This is a website that someone sent me the other day. They want me to take this test. It's beautiful, of course. There's great graphics and colors and everything, but this is sort of a slider that goes back and forth, and you've got all these pages and create an account and buy this and buy this and get this for free and get this for free. There's newsletter, lots of blogs, another newsletter thing, some tweets, a lot of things to click. This isn't necessarily bad, but it is a lot, you know? And that might be too much. You might lose some people. That's all I want to say is it's not bad, but you might be losing some people, and that's not a great thing. And this is Derek Sivers. I mean, his website is very, very plain, but you don't have to make it this minimal. But I want to suggest that he has a really great thing he's doing with this now page. You might want to consider doing this or some sort of start here page, because it helps you to show people, showcase your current products you're working on, the current projects. You can even put like some affiliate links on there. This is the book I'm reading right now. Go buy it. This is this is how you can work with me, all that stuff. And his homepage also is just really good. There's a lot to click, but this is a good example. I would definitely recommend that you kind of check out his site, because the now page is a really great idea. A lot of people use start here pages, so you can start just walking people. This is what I do. I can help you maybe with this free thing, and I can help you with this paid thing. That's a great thing that I suggest to a lot of my clients who are photographers or web designers or whatever. Give them something they can download, but also give them something they can buy. That tends to work out pretty well. And when they download stuff, you can follow up with them on email, all that jazz. We can get into that in other classes if you want, but you can ask me questions about that in the comments. But essentially, you want to make it pretty clear. You want to give them just a few things that can help them, a few things that they can download or buy, a few ways that they can connect with you and learn more, that type of thing. An about page, maybe your home page can be what I'm doing now kind of page. Here's how to work with me. Here's something I can give you for free. Here's an article I wrote that might help you, and here's an affiliate link or whatever. It's important just though that you're not asking people to think too hard when they come to your website. You're not asking them to like see all kinds of different things popping up and different ads everywhere, but you're simply saying, this is how I can help. And you don't want them to have to think too hard or burn too many calories in their brain or have the wheels spin, because they're gonna go somewhere else. They're gonna go back to Facebook. They're gonna go email their friend that sent you an article, that sent your article to them, and just be like, I can't. What do I do here? What do I click? So you want to be able to make like a good impression. You want to be able to get them started on that sort of roadmap with you, if that makes sense. Super important. Not always talked about, but in the next few videos, we will talk a little bit more about branding and CSS, and we'll get a little bit more nerdy about how to customize your WordPress website. So first and foremost, I really want to talk about branding. This can get complicated, and there's a lot of Skillshare classes on this that can kind of dig you deeper. But right now, I'm going to summarize it very, 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 very minimalist-ish. Very minimally, I guess. The cliche that you see a lot of times on Instagram and Facebook, your vibe attracts your tribe. But it's important because it is pretty important. If you are a YouTuber that has a passion for mountain biking, and your website that you're building right now is basically a place to showcase your mountain biking videos on YouTube and to sort of host all the affiliate links and different articles you're writing about it, put your, embed your YouTube videos in it, all of that, you're probably not going to be posting pictures of cupcakes or golden retriever puppies, although maybe next to a bike. But my point being is your colors, your website, it might not look like rainbows and butterflies. It might be totally different. It's going to be probably more like outdoorsy pictures of trails and obviously bikes. Maybe talking about camper vans or drones, like really great GoPros and stuff, different spin-offs of the mountain biking community. If you are a life coach for women in their 40s, your website might not be black and red colors. It might be more like pink and green, or, you know, sort of spa-like colors, you know, greens and blues. We'll get into colors and stuff, but I'm going to show you a few of some of my favorite places to get websites. So we've already talked about Brian, and he runs StudioPress, and these are my favorite themes. I have used them for over about 4 years now because they are a little bit of an investment, but they make everything so much simpler. I've had like free themes or cheap themes that have actually crashed my websites because when WordPress does an update, sometimes they don't work well with a new update. And that's a headache and a half. It's doable, but it's a headache. So I really recommend a lot of their themes if you have the budget. They're about $100 and they're very worthwhile. I mean, a lot of you might recognize this, the Smart Passive Income from Pat Flynn. But this is a different, I mean, this might be your mountain biking review website, but this might be your, you know, life coach for women in their 40s kind of website. If you have a website where you sell homeschool supplies, you might want something a little bit more like minimal like this, a little bit more education based. If you are a photographer, you're going to have a different website than, again, someone selling mountain bikes. There's a lot of really great ones for photographers. You know, this is more for, you know, web designers, coaches, that kind of thing. This is great for photographers. There's a whole slew of things. And there's also a whole nother world of the Genesis Studio Press themes. So there's a lot also on Etsy. And the reason why I bring up themes is because it's important. Your brand, your vibe attracts your tribe. So you got to know who your tribe is, and you got to know kind of what emotions and feelings and things they're attracted to. If, you know, totally different between mountain bikes and a life coach for women. Totally different. You know, these are very good feminine themes, and some of them are pretty budget friendly. So I searched for Genesis Child Theme, which means you don't need to buy one of these websites. You can just buy the framework. So that's a budget way to stand out. But these themes, although they're used quite a bit online, they're not used as much as some of the free ones that you can see on WordPress when you log into your website. So that's why I really suggest them. They're beautiful. They can be pretty easily customized, but they already are going to kind of stand out from the crowd. So you can see some of these. They're literally so pretty. I'm not going to keep clicking because that'll take forever. But there's also Creative Market. This is just the most popular WordPress themes, and you can see how some of them are a little bit of an investment, $65, $60, but some of them are actually pretty budget on here. But this is one of the best ways to stand out from the crowd, aside from focusing on the main goals of your website. That's really important, to minimize it and just have what you need on there. But a great theme is going to help you stand out more than a lot of other things. And you don't need to learn all kinds of nerdy code to do it. These are, again, some just like regular WordPress themes. A lot of these are not using the Genesis framework. They're just using regular WordPress, but they're usually a little bit less expensive. But again, they stand out. There's so many interesting ones. And the important thing is you want to kind of go back to that video where we talked about your goals. You don't need a website, like this is a great example, StudioPress themes. Some of them have a home page. Some of them just have a blog, like Foodie Pro. This is just a blog. You can, of course, make a home page out of it. A lot of my websites right now, I've made them more minimal. So my home page is, I use a blog theme like this, but I'll show you a demo. But I make sort of the about page my home page. This is gorgeous. So I will click like full width content and I'll make this my home page, that kind of thing. So we can talk more about just different design stuff, but it is important to kind of get that element of branding in mind, of your vibe attracts your tribe. You're going to want to really think a second about who are you working with, what are you doing, what are the goals on your website, what are you selling, what are you offering, how are you helping them, and what are they looking for when they come to your website. Again, it's totally different between like mountain bikers or skaters or surfers than, homeschooling moms who are looking for resources to help teach their kids on a budget, or someone who's looking at camper vans is going to be pretty different than someone who's looking to buy like a Mercedes. Well, maybe a Mercedes Sprinter, but you know what I mean? Like premium car salesman is going to be different than selling VW camper vans. Or, being a custom home builder is different than, being a DIY blogger. It's going to look different. So that's important to get across. Branding does not have to be complicated. You just have to kind of focus in on the cliche of your vibe attracts your tribe. Who are you working with and what are they looking for? What is going to draw them in with different colors and all that stuff. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the design elements. We're going to talk CSS hacks, and we're going to talk sort of the design and photography element. So I'm going to show you some of my favorite tools of the trade, which are mostly free. But the similar sort of vibe thing we just talked about, the kind of colors and who you're working with, this matters as well. So we've talked about the different websites you're looking at. Obviously, there's different like feminine themes and modern themes. If you are sort of running a business as your name, kind of like I do, or you're just kind of the face of your website, you are going to definitely want to think about doing your own photography or having photos done. Often, if you have a university near you or some sort of high school or college, there might be students there that can help take some photos on a budget. That's a good investment to think about. I'll also post my favorite sort of photography resources below in the class notes. My camera that I use, because all of my photos are done by moi, or my husband. Sometimes done on my nice little Moto E phone, but often done on my Sony camera, which was a budget camera, and it's fantastic. It's very well worth it. But also, let's talk about free photography, because there's a little bit of investment and you can get really nice photos for your own website, like your about page, which is important. It's important to have you on your website. Even if you're running like a coffee shop, you might want to have pictures of the interior, the exterior, pictures of your team that's working for you, that kind of stuff too. But one of my favorite resources in the online sphere is Unsplash. These are free royalty-free images that are free to download. And they're just really great. You can find so many good ones for your social media here, for your website. If you look at some of these websites, the actual like background is a photo. So that's another really easy, simple way to stand out and just make a big impact on the people coming to your website. Simply, if you're a coffee shop, look at that picture. If you are, we're talking about the mountain bike blog example, this photo would do really well, or maybe this photo. If you don't want to take your own photography, these would work really great. If you're a DIY blogger, this is kind of a good holiday themed image to use. All of these are really great. If you're a travel blogger, some of these would be really great. Keep exploring. That's a great one to use as sort of your background on one of these Studio Press themes or another one. But you also want to think about colors. And in the WordPress world, in the web design world, you may not know this, but you may. Hex codes are the way to get colors into your website. We're going to go over this in a second, the CSS. But let's find Color Hex is my favorite website on this matter. And with the Vibe Attracts Your Tribe, a great tip that I have is to come into a website like Color Hex and I like to use the rule of 3. We're going to talk about that. So if I was doing the mountain bike example, I would probably do a green and maybe a red with maybe black as my sort of base, kind of neutral color. The sort of life coach for women example, I might do a spa themed, which would be that color. Would be a good sort of pop color. And then if you scroll down, they'll show you a couple different sort of color schemes you can use. And this is important because you can use this to help you go in and tweak your website, which we'll talk about in a second, and it can help you with your photography. So for me, I have my colors and I take my own photos often in places that are very similar to these. Like you can see I do it in the on the beach often. I live in Maine, so it's pretty easy. I also have a few on here, I think. I can show you. I have different ones taken in front of like bright colored walls like this because, you know, my brand colors are literally these two right here. So that's important to think about because when you come to a website like Unsplash, you don't want your, you don't want your mountain bike blog to be lime green and blue, but then your photo is sort of this purple one. It probably won't work. So you're wanting to seem similar colors. This would be a great one if you have bright colors. These ones are great. If you're choosing sort of bright earth tones, if that makes sense. So colors are important. Colors are important. The other thing I can show you is, so this code right here is called a hex code. And I can highlight this. And if I want to come over here to WordPress, let's just go with the Genesis framework. I'll show you the demo. So on my mouse, I'm using an external mouse on my MacBook. I can right click and you'll see this little button right here called Inspect. And so I'll do it on this newsletter portion right here first. Scroll down, hover over it, click, and then you'll see e-news widget, background color. And then if I just paste in that code right here, you can see that it changed it, and it changes the look so much. So there's a lot of different themes out there, so you don't necessarily need to know this changing the color theme, because even some WordPress themes have it built in, so you can just change it really easily without having to go into the editor. But this is a good tip. So when you hit the inspect button, this doesn't actually change it. It will go back to normal if I refresh the page. But you inspect again, and you'll want to click this little style.css right there. And then it'll show you where in the editor that this lives. And then it's very simple to find on your WordPress backend. It just is under appearance and editor. And then you just go into that. You can, I like to copy and paste, copy what's above this and then click, Control F and find it. But then you just simply paste in your new code and then save it. And then it'll go right back to your website. You do usually want to back up your website before you do that, but see, it'll go right to the main part of your website. So that's a great thing to do, is just change up some colors. You don't need to, but if you want to just make it stand out a little bit, make the vibe of your website a little bit more unique, that's a great way to go. I suggest you get a theme that's pretty close to the vibe you want first, though. I really do. WordPress themes on Etsy or Creative Market, Theme Forest, those kind of places are just amazing. So you have to do less tweaks. So we've gone over kind of your own photography idea and the different colors. And now along the same vein is the rule of thirds. An important trick to just be able to offer some graphics on your website, some graphics on your social media that are unique but not overwhelming, not boring, but again, not overwhelming. So in this one, you'll see there's two different fonts. On my website, you can see I'm using two different fonts, all in the same color. If you look at my brand colors that I've saved on Canva, which canva.com, by the way, is free to use, And there's a lot of like easy ways for you to get really good graphics here. They have a lot of stuff already done for you. Then I have the rule of thirds. So I use these 3 colors in different ways. If I'm going to use all 3 colors on something, I would probably keep the font the same. So this is like the same font, but it's like bold. Different sizes. So the rule of threes is simply different colors or different fonts. For this one, it's obviously you've got the bold and the not bold. And then maybe I would change the color and then add a graphic. So we're going to do black and blue, and then I might come over to elements and add, let's see, black. And this is, I'm going to change it to, maybe I'm going to change it to green. Nope. I'm going to do black. But my point being is the element of thirds. So often I will do on a social media post, I'll do 2 different fonts in the same color, and then I will highlight one of the more important words like buy now, or I don't know, whatever the word is, and I will highlight that in a different color. So that's sort of the rules of thirds. You got 1 color popping and then 2 different fonts. Or on your website, you've got 1 font for the blog and 1 font for the header. On your website, you might have 2 different colors. Here you can see Brian has 2 different colors, and in the background, really simple. And then he's got sort of 2 different fonts going here. So you're not adding in 5 different fonts and 5 different colors and all kinds of flashy things. You're just keeping it somewhat simple. If you go to his other pages, I think he uses other photos, but they're all black and white. So it's kind of a cohesive thing. If we go back to no sidebar, it's pretty much the same. There's black and white photos on the home page. There's 2 different fonts, and buttons have a pop of color, if that makes sense. So that is a really great way to do things. This is obviously black and white, and then they have this pop of red, I guess you'd call it, 2 different fonts. So you're just trying to tie things together a little bit. And that's why I love this website, the color-hex, because it shows you like a color scheme of 3. And that can be really helpful as well when you're trying to sort of design a website. You don't need a color scheme like this where it's a lot of things. You want to, especially if you're starting out, keep it simple. Just a few little tweaks can make a big difference to take even a free theme to be something that helps you stand out. Good photography, really important. The rule of threes on Canva is really important. And all of these are free hacks. Free, but they can help you stand out. That's really important. So the next video, we're gonna talk about your project. So your project, again, is up to you. It depends on where you are in your business and your website, but I would love your 1 to 3 goals, your important really pieces. I would love you to post a link and ask for feedback to your website. A screenshot of sort of, this is what I started with, here's my blog, and here's what I've done now after I've applied these tips. But you can also post just some brand elements, if you will, that makes sense. Maybe your logo, your hex code colors. You can even design a mood board, which would be really cool. I can show you how to do that in the comments if you want. But thank you for taking this class. I hope this really helps. If it does, give it a thumbs up, a good rating, and let me have any feedback in the comments in your project. Ask me any questions. I'm so glad you decided to join us for this really important outside of the box WordPress tutorial. Bye guys, thank you.